All right. One thing I need to fix about that video is it's a little abrupt cutoff. We'll make it happen. Everyone, welcome in to Dyrud After Dark, LAFB Live. Going to be joined by Dan Wolkenstein driving home from the game because he just wanted to jump on and talk about this amazing Chargers victory over the Raiders. We'll also end the show with a little bit of Rams talk and their disappointing loss with the Cardinals. But first, Dan, what's up, man? How's the vibe right now? How you feeling?
Man, Ryan, the vibe is great in this car. That was well worth the price of admission. Chargers escaped with the victory pretty easily, 28-14. Got a little crazy there at the end, but then Derwin James gets the interception. You get to see all those Chargers fans walking out early. Amazing game. First win at SoFi. It was a great time, man. It was so fun.
Yeah, no, it was a great game all around. All these games have been. I mean, Chargers games for a while have always been entertaining. They usually just end with the result we don't want. And now with this new regime, they seem to be ending the way that they are supposed to end, as the Chargers are able to hang on to these last-minute wins. But, you know, everything's been made of all week about Raiders coming to SoFi, like LA's team, yada, yada, yada. So we're not going to get into that. But just tell me, what was the vibe like in SoFi? Because regardless of what your stance is on that, I mean, it seemed electric. It seemed fun. Just what was the vibe like in the actual stadium since you were there?
The vibe on the actual stadium was pretty good. Honestly, hold on one second. My wife has actually asked me something. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. This is the beauty. Dan's driving home from the game.
My wife she was trying to see the side mirror and she couldn't see. That was totally my fault. No, honestly, the vibe at SoFi was amazing. And I will say there were a ton of Raiders fans. A ton. I'd probably say 70, 30, 65, 35 potentially, which we'll get into that different story. Lots of Chargers fans sell their tickets. But again, when the team keeps winning, they're going to start holding on to those tickets. But yeah. I will say, for the ones that held out and stayed, that place got loud for both teams. And I don't know, I have no idea what the broadcast seemed like. But for being overrun by Raiders fans, like Chargers fans represented, and they showed up. And, it's one of those things where you got to embrace it. And at the end of the day, like, the Chargers got to keep winning. They're new to LA. But that stadium is so good to watch a football game. It's so loud. That place was rock. I literally felt it shaking a few times. It was fun, man. When the Chargers went up 21-0 at the end of the half with that Eckler touchdown, that place got awfully quiet from a lot of those Raiders fans who were chirping all day long.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Which is the fun. I mean, no matter what you say about it, it's an AFC West rivalry, and it's going back. When we were previewing the show, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but this was like their 124th matchup or something, dating all the way back to the AFL days, which is just crazy that they've played that many times. And obviously, that's why there's that hatred between these two teams and the locations they've played in. But man, just a great game. I mean, the Chargers get off this phenomenal start. It seems like these first drives, scripted by, Joe Lombardi, every game they seem to come out firing right off the bat, and they march down the field. What was that like, seeing that first drive? Justin Herbert looking, I think he was 6 for 6 in that drive, and then capping it off with the chicken parm touchdown.
Dude, the guy was a beast, and thank you for having tall tight ends today. That first drive was incredible, and I was telling my wife, because, I mean, it was loud at the beginning, because obviously Raiders fans show out. And I was telling my wife when we started the game, I said, this is a very important drive. Like, if the Chargers can at least get something started, get points up early, at least kind of get the momentum. It looked easy. And for Chargers fans, I think that was what I was worried about, was what happens if the Chargers start slow and they have to go up against it the rest of the game. And thankfully, we got that dude in Justin Herbert and made it look easy.
Yeah, he's a dude. Who was it? Was it
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I was going to say something completely different. I was going to hop on the Brandon Staley train, but I think that has yet to come to fruition. We can talk about that when we get later into the game. But the coaching staff on all three sides, Brandon Staley, Joe Lombardi, Ronaldo Hill, all three of them had a great performance today. You can't say enough about what this coaching staff did.
I mean, even Darius Swinton, at least we're not talking about the special teams making bonehead stuff. Like, they're not like, making gash plays, but they're not screwing up the game like they have in the past. So that's a huge improvement too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, people just asked for the special teams not to do anything stupid, and the only thing that happened was they had the one fake punt, which that was the right call, and the guy just dropped it, but he also got hit, of course, but. Yeah, the special teams is a non-story, and that's all we could ask for. To be honest,
if you're not talking about it, it's doing well. It's doing its job pretty much. So
yep.
But yeah, man, this offense has been fun to see it just get better and better. I think each week, and I think a lot of us tried talking about that all offseason. There was going to be a work in progress. Seeing this offensive line start meshing together. Hopefully, see the running game going. But speaking of that, the running game got going. I think they ran to the tune of 175 total yards tonight. Austin Eckler,
amazing.
117 plus, catching passes out of the backfield. How great is it to see Eck being as good as we all knew he could be? It just kind of like the utilization was kind of slow to start, but now he's there.
Man, Austin Eckler got to do his electric guitar celebration in front of home fans at SoFi. Dude, it was amazing to see, and good for Austin Eckler, but honestly, good for his offensive line, man.
Yeah,
like they've been the brunt of a lot of jokes the last couple of years, and for them to be able to maul a team like that when they knew they were doing it, and that last drive to go up 28-14, they ran it down their throat every time, and they churned out 6 minutes of the clock on that one.
Yeah,
I don't remember the last time I've seen the Chargers run it down someone's throat for that long. Like, I've seen the Chargers do long drives, especially this year, via the pass, but that was just first down after first down after first down after first down.
Yeah.
And Austin Eckler was a huge part of that. That last run that he had. Also, shout out Larry Roundtree, by the way. I forget which one it was, but he had that 9-yard run where he carried the entire pile. It was impressive, man. It was a good day for the running game all around. Justin Herbert did get lit up a couple times when he was going back to pass, but honestly, it wasn't too bad. So, no, the running game was good, and that was very important. And speaking of running game, Ryan, I don't know what it looked like on the broadcast, but man, the Chargers defense came to play.
Yeah. We're going to get to that. Don't you worry, Dan. Don't you worry, because I know how you feel about this defense, especially after the KC game. And we're going to sing their praises in just a second. But you know what I loved about the running game was, they ran the ball 29 times. I love seeing that. Anytime you get over 25 plus touches, I know you have Justin Herbert, but it just makes him that much more dangerous when you can run the ball that well and effectively. And, you mentioned Eckler, who was very efficient. Larry Roundtree, not quite as efficient, but still he got those hard yards. I think there was that one, I can't remember if it was a 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 1, basically got met at the line of scrimmage and still kind of bulldozed through for the first down, which they ended up scoring on that drive, I believe. So just seeing them commit to the run, sticking with it, even though, it helps too when you're up 21-0 at some point that, you should run the football more, but they stuck with it. You love to see it because, I know people hate talking about the running game with the whole Anthony Lynn era, but it is very important in this offense still. You have to do it.
It is. And the weird thing, I don't know if it felt this way for you watching it on TV, but it felt like the first half went by so slowly.
Yeah.
I think it was because both, the Chargers got 21 points, but there were a lot of times where we saw 4 straight 3-and-outs almost, it felt like, where both offenses weren't really doing much. And that first half took forever. But for the Chargers to escape that way, 21-0. And again, a lot of it had to do with the running game. I think they went into this with the game plan of being able to control time of possession and keep the Raiders' offense off as much as they could. And I think it worked. You can tell the one thing that is fun with this Chargers team is you can start to sense the Chargers have a game plan for each game. And it's not the same game plan every week. And so it's nice to see a coaching staff going into a game and have adjustments on the fly, by the quarter, by the half, by the game, by the week. To see but again, to your point, to see the offensive line, to see the running game do that when it needed it. It would have been pretty critical if the Chargers didn't get a touchdown there to go up at the very end of it, at least. If they didn't get a touchdown there, give them the ball back, up 7. That's tough time.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Just quickly, shout out Jason in Panama, Chargers fan out there. Love to see it. But, well, dude, I don't know how we didn't even start with this, but kind of this goes on piggybacking on how good the offensive line, how good the offense was. But, a freaking lightning delay for 45 minutes. Teams come out, they have to go back in. What were you? I mean, what? Because I could. So I was, for me, I was actually happy because I was leaving where I was working, and I was going to be late, missing the first quarter, and all of a sudden I'm like, I get in my car and they're like, oh, it's delayed. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to be on. I'll make it in time for kickoff now. But then I heard like Matt Money Smith and DJ and everyone kind of filling us in what was actually going on. Did you guys know anything, or were you just like, what the hell is going on right now? And why are we on a rain delay in a covered stadium?
Literally, no one knew anything. Everyone kind of guessed. They did say something at one point about there being a weather delay, and rumor has it, at least that people were there thinking that, I think, yes, there is a roof, but I think technically the sides of the roof are open, and so I think there are some portions of the stadium that are still exposed to lightning. But my wife brought up a really good point. Like, why did they delay the game? Because they didn't tell those people to leave the sections. Like, I don't understand the difference between, like, the guys were still sitting there and gals were still sitting there. But it was weird, man. It was weird. We were just kind of chilling there, sitting, not really doing anything. But, just making us fall asleep a little bit later tonight. But, yeah, it was bizarre. And I think it was another one of those, like, again, SoFi Stadium, Chargers have only been there twice. They're kind of ironing out the kinks of all of these things. And so if I gets rain for the first time, like, I think there were issues with the scoreboard for a hot minute before the game started. Yeah. But once the game started, it was great. But man, it was something to see as we're walking into SoFi, and it was just downpouring, thunder, lightning. Yeah. And the lightning went crazy. And at one point, my wife looked at me. She's like, "That's a sign, man. That's a sign." Even
now, it's still lightning and thundering up here where I am in Pasadena, and it just like while we just, of course, when we go live, woke my daughter up, but she's back. I heard her fall back to sleep now, so she's good. But okay, so if you didn't know, and for any of those listening right now that didn't know the full story of it, yes, you're absolutely right about because it's partially opened, which was the same reason with the whole masks and stuff, because it's not a dome closed, it's outdoor. So that was part of it. The second part was there was a power outage because of it nearby. So, yes, they were having scoreboard issues. There were suites that had lost power, so they were, like, dark.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then thirdly, and not most importantly, safety is most importantly, but second most important, because, as you know, SoFi is all digital, like no paper, all tickets. Because the power went out, it knocked out the people checking in, people to get in the game. So they couldn't scan QR codes. So there were thousands of people stuck in the rain outside just waiting to get in because all of a sudden the systems were down. So good thing you got there early. Good job.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Man, I did not realize that part. It was honestly, for folks going to Chargers games, trust me, get there early. Like, you would rather just take a nap in your car than have to deal with the traffic getting in, the traffic parking, as well as the amounts of people getting into SoFi. Get there early. But man, it was a trip. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, what time did you leave on like a Monday? Because obviously a different schedule than a Sunday game.
Yeah. And that, honestly, it was weird for us too, because fortunately, we have day jobs, and so we had to work for a while. So we left later than we wanted to. But we ended up getting there around like 3:20 or so. Okay. But even that, like, I walked around the tailgate section for maybe like 20 minutes or so. But then like started raining, and then honestly, it was packed getting into the stadium. Like, it took forever. But again, man, like, getting back to the game, it was nice to see a Chargers victory at home in SoFi, and to see this Raiders offense, who was playing pretty darn good all season, get shut out in the first half. And I think had I don't even know, 9-10 yards or something in the first quarter. Like, they went nowhere. It got awfully quiet from those Raiders fans for a long time. There's probably maybe 8 minutes of that game where Raiders fans were loud. Otherwise, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, yeah. So the defense, everyone was worried. Last rush defense in the NFL, giving up 170 yards a game. There were, gash plays would happen. Yeah, everyone's freaking out, saying like, looks no different than what happened last year. We all knew, and not we all, but many of us knew. And it's, again, I don't want to sit here and like pat the back, but it's like, this is a whole new scheme. This is brand
pat yourself
new.
On the back. This is your guy.
It's going to take time. Well, we're in the same boat here because we were doing the same thing. It was going to take time. They were getting guys back from injury, which they still haven't actually gotten back yet. Justin Jones goes on IR. K9 now goes on IR. Chris Harris still misses another game, but he's got to be very close on the verge of getting back. But still missing key players. But we knew they would still, like, things would start clicking. I mean, when you're thinking, defense is so much just action, right? You see a play, you react. It shouldn't have to think. 3 games in, brand new system, there's going to be some thinking going on, and that's not reacting as quick. Well, we saw that tonight. No more reaction or no more thinking, just reaction. And they put the clamps on the number 1 offense in the NFL, averaging 475 yards a game. They put a stat up on ESPN how they're, of course, it's through 3 games, but how they're averaging more yards than the 2013 Broncos and the 2016 Saints or whatever as the number 1 of all time. Again, it's 3 games, so I hate when they show those stats. But still, Chargers shut them down to, like you said, like 9 yards in the first half. Talk to us about it.
That defense was something. I have not seen a Chargers defense fly around like that since, I guess maybe you could say 2018, but like it was a different kind of flying around. Like this one, and it was more like you saw everyone. Linebacking core was looking good. Saw defensive line penetrating. Asante Samuel Jr. Nazir Adderley had some very good plays. Derwin James obviously had the interception. It was wild to see. I mean, there were a couple. But the thing is, like, they were even with that game, with how good they played, there were still some self-inflicted wounds. Like the penalty on Joey Bosa, you can't have that. I think Derwin James got beat on that long touchdown. Asante Samuel Jr. got burnt on the pass interference for like 50 yards. Like these are huge chunk plays that they're giving up because of penalty or just like a poor execution. But the Chargers defense is playing darn good. And shout out to Nazir Adderley for proving a lot of haters wrong who were ready to give up on him. Jerry Tillery had a very good game today.
Yep.
You saw Forrest Merrill come in. I mean,
Drew Tranquil, phenomenal.
Dude, there was one play where I forget where it was, but Drew Tranquil came flying through the gap. And the Raiders fan next to us was freaking out because he thought Derek Carr was going to get lit up. But, yeah, the defense is fast. And again, like, there's a difference between, like, playing aggressive and playing stupid. And the Chargers defense was playing aggressive all day today, aside from maybe that first couple drives on defense in the second half. But otherwise, they were clamps. And, yeah, that defense that's what you envision when you brought Brandon Staley in, and not just because of his defensive prowess, but I think because of his gumption, if you will, with some of the calls that he made throughout that game, both sides of the ball. And I know you have a lot of experience with Brandon Staley and kind of like just his mentality with going and winning the game. Just like you saw last week, Brandon Staley was not about to go try and lose this game. Like he went after it and went and won it. Multiple 4th down conversions. I mean, it was something.
Yeah. It's fun to watch, man. It's fun to watch. And quickly just following up on the defense, because I think what excites me, Dan, so much is that when they come out in the second half, 21-0, and then they give up but they give up 2 touchdowns in the third to bring it to 21-14. And you already see Twitter start turning like, oh, man, we're falling apart, atrocious. I saw so many Chargers are going to charge themselves out of this, blah, 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 blah. But they don't. It's like, okay, they gave up those 2 drives, which to their credit, I know I just kind of bashed on people crowning the Raiders offense after 3 games, but through 3 games, they were the number 1 offense in the NFL. So they're going to get something going eventually, you have to think. So they got 2 drives. Chargers gave them 2 drives in 60 minutes. They got 2 touchdowns on it, and that was it. Put the clamps back down. The offense stepped up for that big drive that you talked about earlier, taking tons of time off the clock. The hog mollies up front were doing their job. The running game was going. Herbert hitting big conversions when needed. And it's just like you see this team reacting so differently in adversity, which is not what we used to see. It used to be that they had talent, they had some good plays, they would do some good things here and there, but when adversity struck, everything, to put it bluntly, shit hit the wall, shit hit the fan, it was just bad. Now you don't see that. You see stuff start flying, and then it just gets reined back in, and it's like calm, cool, collected, and they get back on track.
The defense, for whatever reason, and I'm sure the reason is Brandon Staley, but they seem very calm and prepared for the individual plays. And you saw a lot of the opposite of that in years past, where they were reacting and on their heels, and we were simply outcoached in many games. And this defense is ready, and I think they're prepared, and I think that's a credit to Coach Staley and Coach Hill.
Totally.
It's refreshing to be able to watch it, and to now, 4 games in, you can feel that you have an advantage at the coaching perspective, which we have not felt that as Chargers fans covering this team for years. And Brandon Staley brings that to you. And I think that permeates throughout the locker room. And I mean, seeing Derwin James come down that interception and just put the clamps down, and say what you will. I mean, you're right about kind of how funny fans are about their teams. The Chargers went back-to-back weeks, right? They locked down the Cowboys, which looked to be a pretty darn good team now, locked them down to 17 points plus a 56-yard field goal. Fast forward a week, take the best offense in the NFL, in my opinion, hold them at 24 points. And then you take, statistically, the best passing offense in the NFL, hold them to 14 points, shut out in the first half. For everyone who wants to be upset about the defense, what are you wanting? What?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know what else you could want. and like we said, they're missing 3 key components still. Just think when those guys are back.
Yep. Yeah. So what was it like? For you watching on TV when you see the 4th down plays start happening?
I mean, I love it just because I think from an analytics standpoint, it's one of those plays where you're like, okay, this is just a guy that A, knows that this gives his team the best chance to win. He's not playing scared. And B, he trusts his offense. But there's definitely times when twice in their own side of the 50 where you're like, I trust this guy because it's worked already. But, dude, the balls on this dude are just unreal. And I think it helped, though, Dan. It helped that the defense was playing so good. That it's okay. He was, even if they didn't convert, he felt they would hold him to a field goal because that's just how well they were playing up to that point. And then on the 3rd one he went for, it was like, okay, well, this is where we can basically seal the game if we do this. And if not, we're still up. Let's trust our defense. So it's refreshing to see a coach that trusts his team so much. And so far it's just worked. I think it helps when it just works every time. Because if he failed 3 times out of 4, I'm sure we'd be having a very different conversation. But they've executed. They clearly they have these plays in practice. They say these are what we're doing every time in this situation.
I don't know if we would be upset, though. I honestly don't know, because I think the one thing Chargers have been lacking is aggressive play calling. And whether you get it or not, I think the Chargers fans would be happy if their coach was like, you know what, screw it. We're going to try to give our team the best chance to win. And if we don't get 4th down, that's on us. Versus you saw the opposite, where Raiders were giving up 3rd downs and then going 4th down and not getting it. And punting. And I will say this goes, I know that people probably were not, I don't know what it was like on Twitter Nation because I was in a mood at this point. But when the Chargers were winning 28-14, I think it was 4th and 8, I want to say, and they were setting up for the field goal. I was telling everyone, I was like, no, do not kick this, please punt it. And they're kicking a field goal. And then you even saw a little bit of trickery with that turning into just a punt formation, and all of a sudden they punt it down to 8.
Yeah.
You just didn't see those types of intricacies as a coaching scheme. And to be able to have that victory against the Raiders, division rivals, Justin Herbert looked good. I think there were 2 passes. There was one deep pass to Mike Williams that was 6 if he caught it. That was maybe 2 yards too long, as well as a deep pass to Keenan Allen. Otherwise, I mean, Herbert's money. No turnovers. The guy was nails. And what more can you ask for a second-year quarterback? You kind of pinch yourself every now and then because you're kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, but he just keeps going. And the Chargers found a way. And you're right, though. I think the one thing that was weird was at some point you're like, oh, this is feeling like one of those Chargers games in years past, and they just flipped the script. And this seems like there's a lot of demons being exercised week over week. And man, that felt good. Chargers are number 1 in the AFC. I know it's early, but did anyone, like, honestly, nobody expected the Chargers to be 3-1 4 weeks in?
Yeah, I've seen a ton of people all over Twitter saying, like, I think this team had talent and they could eventually get there. I didn't think they'd get there this quick. And that's, I think, the exciting thing is here we are 4 weeks in and they look this good already. And just the way they're doing it and the, the way they're winning games and sealing them. And, even I'll get to this later in the show a little bit when I talk briefly on the Rams, but, Sean McVay, who I love, and I think is a top, 5 coach, I think, in the NFL at this point in his career. But, against the Cardinals on Sunday, had like a 4th and 4, down 2 scores on like the 20, and he elected to kick a field goal and not go for it. And here you have Brandon Staley in his own end twice saying, yeah, we're going. This is 4-down territory because of my quarterback.
I wonder who, like, I'm sure they talk about that before the game, but like, who does Brandon Staley, like, I didn't see on the sidelines because I was there, but like, does he ask Justin Herbert or does he go up to Lombardi? Like, or is it just like, go, like, just keep going? Like, was there a discussion for those?
Typically, no. Typically, he'll because Lombardi's usually in the booth, I feel like. If I'm not mistaken, they don't show him very much in the broadcast. I know Ronaldo Hill's in the booth always, but regardless, I'm pretty sure he just in the headset or if he's there said we're going, and then Lombardi probably has a script of plays that he chooses. Because Vic Fangio is the same way, who I know is people have their opinion about the Broncos, but he's like the Staley disciple. And so Staley's from his tree, and that's kind of how Fangio ran things. He just says, we'll go, and then you're my offensive coordinator. You figure out what we're running, but I'm just telling you we're going. So now make it happen and get us the first down.
And this might give people a little pep in their step for their Tuesday morning. But what was kind of funny was every time the Chargers went for it on 4th down. So it was like 3rd and short or whatever. When they went for it on 4th down, before they even hiked the ball, like Raiders fans were already like sad, slouch, like, dang it.
Yeah.
Like they don't like their chances on 4th and short. And I think the Chargers knew it. Like it was nice to be on that side, because I feel like a lot of times teams, especially Chargers fans, it feels like you're on the defending side of that, where your team constantly is like bending and bending and bending and bending and getting up to 4th downs. And like, there is reason to celebrate as Chargers fans. This is a whole new like feeling to have a team like this. And like, it's hard to put into words, but you see a lot of people talking about like the fan experience and fans and stands and blah, 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 blah. And I do want, and Ryan, I think you and I have talked about this in the past, but for folks watching and listening, you need to embrace the fact that Chargers are new to LA, and the Chargers will get more and more fans in the stands as long as they win. But embrace the idea that you get to watch how many fans walk out of there with their heads held down in a loss. Yeah. Like, there is no better feeling than going.
They gave money to your team.
Oh, it was
a lot of it.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to just accept it and know, like, just be confident in who you are and go there, wear it, and you'll feel that much better in a year, 2 years, 3 years, when we are selling out all these tickets. Like, just do yourself a favor, go check out a game. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. That stadium is something else. And
yeah, it's unreal.
It's loud, Ryan. It is loud.
Yeah, it's crazy that for a non-dome, half open, how the design, architecture, and it, just give credit to the fans. The fans are being loud anyway, but it just resonates. It just holds the sound. It's pretty cool. And I was only there for a preseason game. I'll be, hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be there for a regular season game, but crazy.
So for you, because it was hard, it's kind of hard because I'm still decompressing with this. I haven't even watched the game live, or I haven't watched the game from TV. What were like the key moments for you in this game? So I'm curious what they were from your perspective on TV versus us being there.
No, I think one huge moment that I was going to ask you about next was, that Staley's challenge, when it's, 3rd and whatever, 3rd and short, down in close to their own goal line, and they convert supposedly on the run. And then, Staley decides to challenge the spot and wins. And they force a punt, basically stole a possession because it was already marked a first down. They were moving the chains and basically stole possession back. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, they ended up scoring when they got the ball back on that. I think that was right before the half, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. I mean, that was a huge moment right there because that's just that's something that didn't used to happen. I know we're reiterating a lot and everyone's just probably thinking we're swooning over Coach Staley, but there's little things like that when you can steal a possession, everyone you talk about Bill Belichick and the chess match, and that's what makes coaches so great. That's one of those chess moves. That's one of those rook beat horse or something where it's just okay, that's a huge move that changes the swing of the game.
Yeah, and the thing that is important too is oftentimes that is one of those hindsight, Chargers could have won that game, or Chargers, if they would have challenged that, they would have done it. And seeing that play live, I didn't think he made it, but I also was you don't see those calls overturned often.
Yeah, and rarely.
For that to get overturned, that was huge. That was a huge. I forget, was there then a fourth down conversion that was only stop them in fourth down?
So then they punted because they were close to their end zone. But the other thing, Dan, that I think made it such a smart play is the play happens, gets first down. He kind of lets time tick off the clock. As they're going he waited all the way till the Raiders were lining up. They almost snapped it, challenges it, so that it burned some time off the clock in case he lost. But it also, at basically, it's a free timeout. Because, I know he would essentially give one up if he loses the challenge, but basically he's giving his defense time to rest, kind of recoup. Okay, they have a new set of downs. Let's make sure we stop them now here. We can talk about what play we're going to do going into that. And then if you win, great, we get the ball back and we can make some points out of it. But if we lose, at least we're giving ourselves a breather, giving a good situation while also burning time off the clock because the Raiders were in no hurry at that point to get to the line of scrimmage. So there's just so many little intricacies in that one challenge that we just never used to see. And now with, this new staff, it's those are great little football chess moves that can make all the difference when you're talking about games that come down to one play. I know this one ended up being 2 scores, but games come down to one play, stuff like that's important.
The big plays for me. So it was that one. It was the Jared Cook touchdown was unreal how he brought that home, and then it has to be that Austin Eckler touchdown run to seal it. 21-0 is big, that touchdown at the end of the half, but I think those two were probably the biggest for me. Although sneaky, that Jared Cook, I want to say it was 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, that back shoulder fade that he had.
Oh, over Denzel Perryman?
Shoulder catch. Dude.
That was 4th down, yeah.
I don't know how Justin Herbert got that in. That was reminiscent of the Austin Eckler catch in the phone booth last week. I don't know how he did that. That was unreal.
That was a play actually on the broadcast afterwards. Louis Riddick was breaking down and just the play design, how well it was designed with both Williams and Keenan Allen running, slant routes, and then Cook running a wheel route behind him, and it made Denzel Perryman rub behind them, so he was a little bit behind the play, so he couldn't turn his head around. But then still, Cook had to look back and then kind of reach over and get it. All around, great play call, great execution. It was just a big play, and it was 4th down, so it was a huge conversion.
But Ryan, take a second here. We are sitting here talking about coaching plays that are putting our team in a position to succeed. Chargers fans have been begging for this and have been this has been the Chargers' kryptonite.
Yep.
The Achilles heel was the Chargers are good, but coaching sucks. They're good, but special team sucks. They're good, but defense sucks.
Yep.
And this is so uncharted territory for Chargers fans, and honestly for some of these Chargers too. Derwin, this is a Derwin James style team right now. That's how they're vibing. Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel Jr., Nazir Adderley, Drew Tranquil, their mentalities and their spirits are kind of going through that defense, and it's fun to see. I mean, it's weird. I'm still trying to decompress, but to have a coach that puts us in positions to succeed, have it be something at an advantage for our team versus something we have to overcome, that will never get old to me.
Yeah.
Because of what we've experienced in the past covering this team, that will never be old. I will always appreciate when I see coaching moves do well. Mm-hmm. And Thank you, Brandon Staley. Everyone loves you.
Thank you, Rams. Thank you, Sean McVay. Everyone.
Yes, thank you,
making
Ryan
this guy
and
known.
LAFB for letting us know about him first.
I'll get you out of here on this, Dan. I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you had to give some game balls out, it's always being at the game is so fun, but it is harder to like analyze things. So sorry to put you in a tough spot because it is harder. Like when you're at home watching, it's easier. You get the replays, but from your angle, couple game balls. Who are you giving them to?
Good one. I'm gonna go off script here. First game ball, I think I gotta give it to Corey Linsley for what he has done with this offensive line. And you hear a lot of people talk about like the center being kind of like the tip of the spear. Mm-hmm. For how he has transformed this offensive line, and to see what happened today from a running game perspective, like that doesn't happen without Corey Linsley. It just doesn't.
100%.
So I got to give Corey Linsley one. I want to say Drew Tranquill as well. His impact and his speed at that position, mm-hmm. I think cannot go overstated. And then the young kids in the secondary. Asante Samuel still looks great. Nazir Adderley is looking great. I can give it to Justin Herbert every day.
Yeah, obviously.
But Austin Eckler also good. But I think the ones who stood out to hold that offense to 14 points, shut out in the first half, and to be able to run like that, like I think Corey Linsley from an offense perspective, secondary Drew Tranquill. Stars came to play today. You saw mm-hmm. big plays by your biggest guys. You saw Tranquill make plays. You saw Herbert make plays. You saw Eckler make plays. You saw the two tight ends. We saw Derwin James gets the interception, which, man, that I felt so good for him given all that he's gone through. Joey Bosa gets a sack. Fackrell goes in there. I mean, it was a team win, and that's what you. I mean, I just gave out 37 team balls, but the thing you like about a Brandon Staley defense, and we've talked about it, is it's not just the stars who will make plays, and I think that's mm-hmm. what makes this defense so hard to go up against. Is everyone is put in a position to where they can excel with their talents. Like this is a different Nazir Adderley than we saw last year. Mm-hmm. Asante Samuel Jr. is this good because of, yes, his instincts. And yes, that is just who he is. The kid's amazing. But, like, he's getting coached up. Yeah. All of these defensive players are getting coached up. And, shout out to Brandon Staley, man. That was a Brandon Staley type of win. And I leaned over to my wife midway through the fourth quarter as we were driving to go up 14. And I said, Kristen, this is why Brandon Staley was brought here, like for this type of drive, mm-hmm. and to be able to just find a way. And I'm telling you, the tandem of Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert is going to quickly climb the ranks of the quarterback coaching duos in the NFL.
Yeah. And it helps that he's not just a mastermind. He's actually like a likable, cool dude too. Like, like Bill Belichick's a mastermind, but it's just like, it's the one guy I don't really want to like because he's not likable. Brandon Staley is. And, I've talked about this a little bit with Rams fans recently over this tough loss, which I'll get into here in a minute. But, there were some people around the league, a lot of people actually around the league, and they weren't saying it necessarily to bash on Brandon Staley, but more of a critique. They're saying, yeah, he seems like a great defensive coach, but he's had Khalil Mack, he had Von Miller, he had Aaron Donald, he had Jalen Ramsey, which is, I guess, valid, but you see what he did for John Johnson, Troy Hill, Morgan Fox, Michael Brockers, all these other players on the Rams that ended up going out and getting paid. Brockers, I know, was traded, but the other three signed big free agent deals. And now without his tutelage, I'm not saying they're having bad years, but they're definitely not having the type of years they had last year with the Rams on the Staley-led defense. And now we're seeing players like Nasir Adderley, Kaiser White, even Jerry Tillery, like guys that hadn't had this kind of success until he got here, and we're seeing it, and that's what we were all expecting to happen, and it's coming to fruition. And it's not just Staley, it's the guys putting in work, working their ass off day in and day out, but it just shows the buy-in and what he's able to do, and why this team right now, as many people are saying, 4 games in, they're the team to beat in the AFC West right now,
which is crazy, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the Chargers have a very good roster. It's always been a matter of if they can kind of piece it all together and if they can stay healthy. Mm-hmm. And as of now, 4 games in, relatively, like check. They've been pretty good. It's a good time to be a Chargers fan. 3-1. We're a quarter of the way, just under a quarter of the way through the season. Chargers defense is as advertised, and it's only going to get better. But for this Chargers defense to do what they have done 3 back-to-back weeks against these offenses, doesn't get any easier next week. But for them to be able to pull off 14, 20, and 24 against those offenses, I don't know what else you can say. Sure, we gave up a bunch of rushing yards last week. You went up against the Chiefs. That's what happens. And shout out to all the Chargers fans that came out to SoFi today. You guys deserved that victory. And for all of the stuff you've been hearing from everyone, first victory in SoFi. Chargers are now 1-1 at home for the year. Great feeling, great win. And, man, Chargers got Justin Herbert. It's a great day to be a Chargers fan, let me tell you.
Yeah. Everyone sleep easy tonight. Sleep good. You should have a smile on your face. I know you will, Dan. I don't think that smile's coming off your face.
I'm not going to sleep. I'm going home. I'm going to watch the game. I'm about to watch all the things I'm recording. I'm crazy.
I'm sure your wife next to you is pumped right now.
She's literally shaking her head at me in disgust.
Yes. She'll sleep easy. She'll probably sleep good, I'm sure. So
yes, I will sleep with a smile on my face. And shout out to my better half for putting up with the Chargers-Raiders game. That was her first Chargers-Raiders game. And look, everyone talks about how crazy it is to go to the Raiders games and stuff, but honestly, it was a blast. We didn't really see anything that was, low key, anything that was violent, nothing like that. It was people were chirping, but that's what you do. That's what makes it fun. And it ended up being great. Everything was calm, it was fine. And we're on to the Browns.
Oof, another big matchup, which we'll all be talking about all week. Dan, thanks for jumping on me as you're driving home. When are you guys recording your next Chargers Unleashed? Do you have that planned yet?
I'm fairly certain it's going to be tomorrow. And Chargers Unleashed already has a blown up hotline. We got all kinds of voicemails that Jake will be listening to for the first time. So it's going to get crazy.
I love it. Yeah, the Chargers Unleashed hotline is great. So if you guys haven't, make sure to check out Chargers Unleashed. Dan and Jake do a great job right here on the LA Football Network. So, well, Dan, is it still raining where you're driving, or are you guys in clear skies now?
Clear skies. We are just about to pull into the driveway. So I'm about to give my
perfect
wife...
timing. Got you home safe and sound.
You crushed it, Ryan. You could not have asked for any better timing.
There you go. Sweet, dude. Well, hey, thanks for jumping on. Congrats to all of us on the win. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Yes, thanks so much, Ryan. Thanks for having me on. Talk to you later. Bolt up. Chargers win. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Bye, Ryan.
Enjoy. Peace. Thanks to your wife from me. So there he goes. Dan Wolkenstein, co-host of Chargers Unleashed right here on the LA Football Network, season ticket holder. So, I always love doing these Dyrud After Darks, if it's a late game or just, LAFB live on Sundays. So I want to talk briefly about the Rams, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I always want to shoot it to you straight, never going to lie, because people can tell if you don't watch it. So I was gone all weekend up in beautiful Cambria, California. I was a groomsman in one of my best buddies' wedding, which was on Saturday. So I was unable to watch the Bruins or Trojans game. We did have guys covering those games for the LA Football Network. If you read any of our stuff, that was all legit. And then had some more wedding festivities on Sunday, and then drove home Sunday. So I was catching the Rams game via game stream and Twitter, but I haven't fully watched it. So I'm going to get into watching that tomorrow. So then I'm going to do another show probably on Wednesday where I'm previewing, because I got a short week, playing the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, and then also talking about some of the inefficiencies that we saw against the Cardinals. So I won't get, I'm going to take quick few minutes here just to touch on them. And again, I'll probably talk more college with Bruins and Trojans also. Bruins with a tough loss against, ASU at the Rose Bowl, real bad. And the Trojans bounced back with a big win over Colorado. Not a very good Colorado team, but hey, a win's a win. Get back on the over 500 side. And so that's good. So we'll get more to them throughout the week as well. But, with this Rams team, I know it was a tough loss, and I know Twitter almost melted down, and the Rams fan base was going nuts. 37-20. You never want to see it. Sean McVay had yet to lose to this Arizona Cardinals team. And to lose in a fashion like that, really just got out coached. Offensively, they abandoned the run, which everyone who listens to my show You know I love Sean McVay, but you know that's my biggest critique week in and week out. It seems like every time they lose, it's because they abandon the run completely. Darrell Henderson, 14 rushes, Sonny Michel, 3. I know Stafford had 6, but it's not like those are designed runs. So you have 17 total carries between the two, and the running game was working early on. Again, from what I could tell, I'm going to watch it. I'll watch all the tape here tomorrow so I can get more into it on Wednesday. But running, my good friend Rich Hammond, I know he's tweeted about it a ton, about the running game working great, and all of a sudden just going like 7 straight pass plays and didn't work. So it's been one of my biggest frustrations with Coach McVay. One that I always think like he's going to get figured out, but I think it's just in his DNA. He just wants to throw the football. And there's some coaches that have a thing they want to do. We talked Chargers many years. Anthony Lynn wants to run the football. I think Sean McVay just wants to throw the football. He wants the running game to be maybe a complement to it, but not necessarily a full factor in it. And I think at this point, year 5 with the Rams, that's what it is. I don't think he'll change his philosophy anymore because we've seen it game in and game out. They beat themselves in the foot, shoot themselves in the foot by becoming one-dimensional. And I don't care how good or bad your defense is, when you know what's coming every time, it's easier to stop. Now, the Rams have a good enough offense. They can get away with it many, many times. This Cardinals is a good team, though. I mean, there's no way around. It's not, yes, this was a bad loss, but this wasn't a bad loss to a bad team. It wasn't like last year when they lost to the Jets inexplicably. Like what the hell happened that week? They was just outcoached, just bad. This Cardinals team is a good team. On paper, very good team. We just didn't know how they would truly play and how the wild card, if you will, of Cliff Kingsbury and Van Joseph coaching-wise, how that would progress from last year to this year. Well, so far, being the last undefeated team in the NFL, it seemed to have progressed pretty well. And, they're the number 1 offense in the NFL. Kyler Murray is probably the leader in the clubhouse right now for MVP. Matthew Stafford, I think, is close behind him. Justin Herbert, I think, is close behind him. But I think if the league ended today, 4 games in, I think you got to give it to Kyler. I mean, 4-0 and has really just played lights out, mistake-free football. He's dynamic. The Rams rushing defense got gashed again. Chase Edmonds, 12 carries for 120 yards. Like, you don't want to see that. And I know a lot of people are calling for Raheem Morris's head. And they're missing Brandon Staley, which obviously we're all going to miss Brandon Staley. We know what he did last year. And only getting 1 year with him was painful. And now seeing the success he's having with the Chargers. But even with the Chargers, for those Rams fans now listening, through 3 weeks, Chargers were dead last in rush defense. Dead last. Giving up 170 yards per game. Granted, they played some good teams. But still, it's not what you want to see from a Brandon Staley-led defense who finished 3rd last year in rush defense, 1st in overall team defense. It's going to take time. Here we go, week 4. Playing the Raiders. Give up 46 yards rushing. It's a 1-game sample size, but improvement is there. That's what coaches do. They improve. Now, if we're having the same conversation with Raheem Morris and his rush defense in, say, week 15, then maybe it's a systemic issue that is like, okay, maybe he's not going to get it figured out. And we either don't have the right pieces to do what he wants to do. He's not comfortable calling this basically pseudo Saley defense, and he needs to change stuff up in his own scheme. Or it's just the meshing of personnel and him is not going to work out. 4 games in, I'm just more of a glass half full guy. Yes, it's not good. I'm not by any means giving him a pass, if you will. But it's 4 games in. They're playing the number 1 offense in the game. Again, they didn't play the Jets and give up 200 and whatever yards. So we want to see improvement. That's what you want to see from your coaching staff and what you want to see in a new coordinator coming in. Comfort and cohesion and improvement. Short week. They got Seattle. Another tough game after they came off a big win over San Francisco. They like to run the football. We know that. They have another very good athletic mobile quarterback in Russell Wilson, which I think that was one thing I talked about going into this Cardinals game is the Rams defense has looked pretty good. They've had their moments of giving up big plays, but overall they've looked pretty good through 3 weeks with Raheem Morris. But you played against Andy Dalton, who's Andy Dalton. But you play against Tom Brady, the GOAT, but he's not mobile. whatsoever. So it's like, how are they going to look against an athletic mobile quarterback? And they struggled. But it was more the running game than it was necessarily just Kyle. It was like Kyler Murray threw for 500 yards. I mean, he finished with like 268. They weren't really able to force any turnovers. Rushing game killed him. So we'll see how they can rebound against the Seattle team. So again, I'm going to get more into it on Wednesday is the plan right now, because I'm going to watch the film, talk more about it, and then also just prep to preview this Seahawks game. So we're going to get a good guest on with me to preview that. Should be a lot of fun. I have a few in mind, but I haven't locked them and confirmed yet, so I won't spoil that, but we'll definitely have a good guest for that. So, but just wanted to briefly touch on it. The sky is not falling. The Rams are 3-1. They're still a Super Bowl contender. You know, I'm sure all the power rankings will come out and they'll drop from 1 to like 4 or something like that, but who cares, right? You don't need to be number 1 in week 4. It doesn't matter. You want to be number 1 in week 20 after the Super Bowl. So I'm not overly concerned. It's a bad loss. Teams have them. Go back to the drawing board, figure out what you did wrong, and improve. And I think they will. Sean McVay, for what I can criticize him about with the running game, he's a top 5 coach. Like, he rarely loses 2 games in a row. Like, I think we can count on many times on one hand how many times he's lost 2 games in a row in a season. So I think they'll get it figured out. I think they're going to bounce back. You know, I'll get more into that matchup because I want to really look into it before I just give a prediction. But I think they'll bounce back in a big way. And when you have a quarterback like Matthew Stafford, I feel a lot more confident in that. And getting someone like Robert Woods more involved. Cooper Kupp, who had statistically not as good of a game last week. You know, he's not going anywhere. Offensive line still played pretty well. So, Rams fans, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. I think a lot of people were feeling better anyway on Monday after just letting the dust settle, getting Sunday out of their mouth, out of the taste buds. Things will be okay. So, but yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Again, Trojans do win for college. Great. Get back to 3-2. Bruins tough loss. Again, I need to watch these games because it was during the wedding I was at. So I need to watch those games to really get into it. Box score didn't look good, obviously, but I'm not going to comment on what I didn't watch, what the tape didn't tell me because I didn't see it. So we'll get into that also later in the week as we preview their next matchups. USC is going to play Utah, and UCLA, I believe, have a big matchup with Oregon, who also lost to Stanford. So once again, doesn't look like the Pac-12, unfortunately, will have a rep at the college football playoff. But hey, this team just likes to eat each other. This conference likes to eat each other up. So, but thank you all for tuning in. This is Dyrud After Dark, part of the LA Football Podcast on the LA Football Network. Hit me up on Twitter at Ryan Dyrud, LAFB, and follow us on YouTube at LAFB Network. Anywhere you get your podcasts, LAFB or LA Football Podcast, all you got to search. So, and every Friday at 5, live on AM 1090, The Mightier. If you want to listen to us on live radio on your commute home on Fridays, I'll be there at 5 every Friday. So thank you all for tuning in. Huge Chargers win against this Raiders team. Moved to 3-1, first in the AFC West. Tough Rams loss. Big Trojans win, bouncing back. And bad Bruins loss. 2-2 for LA football on the weekend. But thanks for tuning in. Once again, this was Dyrud After Dark on the LA Football Network. Have a great evening. Peace.